So what does Labor Day mean to you?
Labor Day to me means basically a day off.
You work or?
I was out here Spanish one day and I kind of got picked up by a Mexican, or not a Mexican, but a worker, and he picked me up and I did some, like, because they garden all day. I don't know, I've been looking for a job.
I think it's good that people band together and say, you know what, enough is enough, and it's got to be fair in the workplace, because this is what most people do 9 to 5, 5 days a week, spend most of their life working for someone else.
Yeah.
And it is good for people to stand up and say, hey, you know what, we're working really hard for you, we deserve to be treated fairly. I had the day off today, without pay, I might add.
Awesome.
I slept and got ready for the next week of school. I mean, everyone takes Labor Day off, but for me it seems like, if anything, we should be working harder on Labor Day because it's about working, so why are we not working on a day celebrating working? So, I mean, if anything, that should be like a long day of work, or at least like a fun day at work, where work isn't so serious. Because, like I said, it's about work, so we should be at work. I mean, if anything, maybe like a bonding experience at the company. So, I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I mean,
Awesome.
I slept in on my Labor Day, so I don't really care.
Yeah. Observed on the first Monday in September, Labor Day pays tribute to the contributions and achievements of American workers. It was created by the labor movement in the late 19th century and became a federal holiday in 1894. Labor Day also symbolizes the end of summer for many Americans and is celebrated with parties, parades, and athletic events.
In the late 1800s, at the height of the Industrial Revolution in the United States, the average American worked 12 days and 7-day weeks to eke out a basic living. Despite restrictions in some states, children as young as 5 or 6 toiled in mills, factories, and mines across the country, earning a fraction of their adult counterpence wages. People of all ages, particularly the very poor and the recent immigrants, often face extremely unsafe working conditions, with insufficient access to fresh air, sanitary facilities, and breaks.
They began organizing strikes and rallies to protest poor conditions and compel employers to renegotiate hours and pay. Many of these events turned violent during this period, including the infamous Haymarket riot of 1886, in which several Chicago policemen and workers were killed. On September 5, 1882, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square in New York City, holding the first Labor Day parade in U.S. history. The idea of a working man's holiday, celebrated on the first Monday in September, caught on in other industrial centers across the country, and many states passed legislation recognizing it.
Yeah, in terms of Labor Day, Congress would not legalize the holiday until 12 years later, when the watershed movement in American labor history brought workers' rights squarely into public's view. On June 26th, the American Railroad Union, led by Eugene V. Dubs, called for a boycott of the Pullman railway cars, which crippled railroad traffic nationwide. And to break the strike, the federal government they dispatched troops to Chicago, which unleashed a wave of riots that basically resulted in the deaths of more than a dozen workers. And in the wake of this massive unrest, in an attempt to repair ties with American workers, Congress basically passed an act making Labor Day a legal holiday in the District of Columbia and kind of nearby territories.
More than a century later, the true founder of Labor Day has yet to be identified. Many credit Peter J. McGuire, co-founder of the American Federation of Labor, while others have suggested that Matthew McGuire, as secretary of the Central Labor Union, first proposed a holiday. Labor Day is still celebrated in cities and towns across the United States with parades, picnics, barbecues, fireworks, displays, and other public gatherings. For many Americans, particularly children and young adults, it represents the end of summer and the start of the back-to-school season.